Good afternoon, our respected instructor, Mr. Durga Prasad Dhakal sir, and all my dear colleagues. This is quantitative research presentation. I am Rajan Kumar Cornell. So I am an MPhil in English education students, and my roll number is 75153034. Currently, I am teaching English education as a lecturer of Nepal University in Surkhet campus education, and I am assistant campus chief of that campus, which lies in Birendranagar 8 campus road, Surkhet, Karnali province, Nepal. Today in this presentation I am going to present on principles of sampling. Under this presentation I am going to organize the presentation in this way. First of all, I will deal about the concept of sampling, then sampling terminology, then I will discuss on principles of sampling, 3 principles, 1, 2 and 3 will be discussed under the principles of sampling. Okay, now let me discuss what sampling is. Sampling is the process of selecting sample from the sampling population to make the basis for the study. From the larger population where we are going to study on, we select manageable number of elements from that sample using certain methods, certain strategy. That manageable number that we select from the larger population is called sample. So this is the diagram taken from Ranjit Kumar research methodology, a step-by-step guide in page number 193. So here is a sample population, a study population, sampling unit. So here are a large number of units, and from this larger study population we select a few units and we call it the sample. Why we select the sample from the study population is we collect information, we collect data from this sample to find out the answer to our research question, and whatever finding is obtained from this sample is generalized to the whole study population. So this is the concept of sampling. Now let us discuss sampling, some of the sampling terminologies that we need to learn before we study what sampling principles are and what do they mean. The first one is the study population. It is also called population, sample population, sampling population, or sampling unit. So generally we understand it by capital N. So it is the total population from which a researcher selects the sample. Next one is the census or universe. This is the complete enumeration or complete counting of the units in the study population. Next one is the sampling unit or element, that is the individual in the study population. Individual of the total population is called sampling unit or element. Next one, sampling frame, or this is also called source list. it is the list of the study population identifying all elements in the unit. When we list it out, that becomes sampling frame. Next one is the sample. This is the small group of elements selected from the study population. Next one is the sample size, is the number of elements from whom we select required information in the study. So this is the sample size. So sampling frame is the counting of all population or list of all population, and sample size is the list of sample only. So sampling design or strategy, while selecting sample out of the total population, we follow certain procedure. For example, we may select purposefully, we may select randomly, we may select using snowball or fishbowl draw. So whatever, that is called the sampling design or strategy. Next one is the sample statistics. Sample statistics is the finding obtained from the sample. So the finding obtained from the sample is generally generalized to the total population. Next one is the education population parameter. Population parameter or population mean is the estimate we arrive from the sample statistics to the total population. So this is the estimated mean of the total population. Next one is the sampling error. Sampling error is the difference between sample statistics and true population mean or population parameter, so which we attribute to the sample. So now let us go to sampling principle. So sampling principle or the theory of sampling is guided by following three common principles: principle 1, principle 2 and principle 3. So let us take a very common example from our own course. Suppose 4 of us are there in a group. So for example, Min Prasad Dawadi, Indra Bahadur Ter, Rajan Kandil and Jairam Adhikari are here in a course, in a group. So this we have to this group is made to estimate the average grade of the group in qualitative research assignment. Now so let us look our grade there, and this is the grade we obtained from qualitative research assignment. Min Prasad Dawadi obtained 8, Indra Bahadur Ter 6, Rajan Kandil 5, Jairam Adhikari 9, and the true population parameter or true population mean is 7 here of all. Now next one, let us take any two of the sample and see the difference between sample mean and population. So we can take any of the two out of the 4 elements or out of the 4 individuals here. So we can take Min Dawadi and Indra Bahadur Ter, Min Dawadi and Rajan Kandil, or Min Dawadi and Jairam Adhikari, Indra Bahadur Ter and Rajan Kandil, Indra Ter and Jairam Adhikari, and Rajan Kandil and Jairam Adhikari. These are the potential 6 different samples we can take from those 4 total elements if we have selected 2 sample. So in each cases the sample statistics or sample mean is different. In the first case, when we take Min Dawadi and Indra Ter, so this is 7, Min Dawadi and Rajan Kandil 6.5, Min Dawadi and Jairam Adhikari 8.5, Indra Ter and Rajan Kandil 5.5, Indra Ter and Jai Adhikari 8.5, Rajan Kandil and Jai Adhikari 7. So in each of the case except the first one and last one, there is the difference. So there is the sampling error. So of minus 0.5, 1.5, minus 1.5, 0.5. So the principle 1 says that in majority of the cases of sampling, there will be a difference between sample statistics and true population mean, which is attributable to the selection of units in the sample. It means, in general, sampling leads to sampling error. When we do sampling, we are in the possibility of committing error. So why error commits is because of the selection of few units in the sample from the study population. So from the larger population, if we select a few, then we are in the possibility of committing error. This is what principle 1 says. Now, so let us to understand the second principle, let us take 3 individuals out of 4 as the sample instead of 2. So these 4 are different possibilities. So we can take Mindawadi, Indrater and Rajan Kandel. So if we take these 3, the sample statistics becomes 6.3. So we can take Mindawadi, Indrater and Jay Adhikari. This time sample statistics is 7.7. So we can take Mindawadi, Rajan Kandel and Jay Adhikari. This time sample statistics is 7.3. So and we can take Indrater, Rajan Kandel and Jay Adhikari. This time sample statistics or sample mean is 6.7. So but population mean was 7 as earlier. So the difference between population parameter and sample statistics is minus 0.7 in the first, 0.7 in the second and 0.3 in the third and minus 0.3 in the fourth. So here the sampling error lies between minus 0.3 to minus 3 to 0.7, while in earlier example it was from minus 1.5 to 1.5. So principle 2, what we understood from this one is that the greater the sample size, the more accurate the estimate of the true population mean. In other words, if we take greater or larger sample instead of smaller, we are going to be more accurate to the result, or the result will be more accurate in comparison to when we take smaller sample. So next one, so to understand the third principle, let us take the grade of next qualitative assignment. So look, in next qualitative assignment of that group, same group, so Mindawadi obtained 10, Indrater obtained 4, Rajan Kandel obtained 2 and Jay Ram Adhikari obtained 7, and when the mean is 5.75. Here we have obtained slightly different grades score than earlier. Our school has markedly different with each other. It ranged from 2 to 10. Now if we take 2 as the sample as earlier in first principle, so the difference lies between minus 2.75 to 2.75. So earlier when the data was homogeneous or the difference in score was very small, the difference was up to minus 1.5 to 1.5, but this time when the score of these 4 elements or 4 population element is varied or heterogeneous, this time it ranged from minus 2.75 to 2.72. So similarly, even if we take 3, the difference is larger here. So if we take 3 as the sample, the sampling error lies between minus 1.45 to 1.25, which is greater than when so we take 2 only as the sample, 3 only as the sample earlier when the score was homogeneous. So at that time the difference was only minus 0.3 to 0.7. So from this what we can conclude is, or what we can induce is, principle 3. The greater the difference in the variable under study in a population for a given sample size, the greater will be the difference. The greater difference will be there. So in other words, the greater the difference in the variable under study in population for a given sample size, the greater will be the difference between sample statistics and true population mean. Means when we study homogeneous type of population, at that time if we take sample and study, so we are going to be more accurate in comparison to when the sample population is heterogeneous and we take sample, equal number of sample, so at that time and we study. So in these two different comparison, when we study heterogeneous population, at that time, so from the sample we are going to commit more error than when we are studying the homogeneous population. Now, so to recap, let us see in principle first. So what it says is, in majority of the cases of sampling, there will be the difference between sample statistics and true population mean. This is resulted because we select sample from the population. So this is the first principle. Second principle, the greater the sample size, means the greater units we take in sample from the population, the more accurate will be the estimate of the true population mean. And principle 3 says, the greater the difference in the variable under study in a population of a given sample size, the greater will be the difference between sample statistics and true population mean. It means if the population was variable, was much more varied, and we take sample from that varied population, so at that time, so we are going to commit much more error than when we take sample from a less varied population. So this is what principle 3 says. So in short, principle 1 says, when we sample out from the population, we may commit error. Principle 2 says, if we take larger sample instead of smaller, we commit less error. Or this is much generalizable. And principle 3 says, when the population is varied, at that time when we take sample from the varied population, heterogeneous population, so there will be the greater difference between population mean and sample mean, or sample statistics and true population mean. So this all is the main reference for this is Ranjit Kumar, Research Methodology, a step-by-step guide for beginners, 3rd edition. From page number 193 to 97, so New Delhi, says publication. Okay, namaste, and thank you all for this my patience and listening. Thank you all the participants, and thank you, so respected instructor.